This is the Do Something and Report It project for the University of Minnesota BBE 2201 Spring 2012 Renewable Energy in the Environment course. My name is Amanda Lai. Let's get started. So for my project, I'm doing a do-it-yourself solar-powered sun jar, which basically utilizes solar energy with household items, so anybody can do this project really. The materials you will need for the solar-powered sun jar include 1. A solar yard light. It can be any size or style, so long as it has a removable solar cell lid. 2. You will need a jar with a clear lid. Again, it can be any size or style, so long as it has a clear lid for which the solar cell can receive sunlight. 3rd, you will need mounting tape or double-sided tape. And 4th, you can have more discretion in this if you're artistic or like to decorate. I certainly am not an art major whatsoever. You can use whatever materials you'd like, but in this case I will stick with tracing paper. You can use tissue paper, tracing paper, frosting spray. Anyway, let's get started. This is really just the setup of your solar-powered sun jar. Remove the materials that you don't need. You only need the solar cell lid. Apply double-sided tape to the solar cell lid, but not on the solar cell itself. Place the solar cell firmly on the lid of the jar, and it should stick. There you go. Take your decorative touch, in this case it's tracing paper, cut it to fit the parameters of your jar. Once it's cut, stick it in there, and there you have it, your solar-powered sun jar. Okay, so this begins a time lapse. Here we have the jar still intact, the lid is still attached to the jar firmly. We're pulling out the tab so that it will function fully. Now we want to give it a lot of solar power charging time, because the amount of time that the light is on at night is directly proportionate to the charge time. I just put solar dancing flower on there because it just shows how sunlight is reaching the jar and the flower throughout the day and throughout this time lapse. Excuse my eating and my homework use. Okay, so coming up here we will have a chart of just the setup of the solar yard light and how it works. There is the solar cell, the photoresistor, the battery, the controller board, and the LED light. You can ignore the glass cover and the lamp cover because it's not as important in this case. Going back to the time lapse, we'll see that the flower is still dancing. As it gets darker, eventually you will see that it stops dancing. There you go. Now it's getting dark enough for me to put words on there, which is perfect. Okay, so the parts of the solar yard light. The solar cell in this case is an amorphous panel. It is a mineral-based panel that utilizes multiple wavelengths of light to allow charging to the battery. In this case, this panel can be placed in less optimal light conditions, which is fantastic, such as the shade or on cloudy days. The battery is a rechargeable 400 mAh NiCd nickel-cadmium battery. It can be replaced with a higher milliamp-hour battery or an NiMH battery, which stands for nickel metal hydride. Keep in mind that this stronger battery requires more charge time as a result. Here, coming up, is a very basic chart about how the solar yard light works. During the daytime, the solar panels charge the battery. At night, once it gets darker or there's little to no light, the photoresistor, as we saw in the other chart, detects this and turns on the light, as you'll see now. Okay, so it's nighttime and the LED has turned on. The battery should last about 500 full charges, which is the equivalent of 10,000 hours of burn time approximately. This LED light in particular is not measured in watts or amps because it is not a measure for solar LEDs. Instead, this LED is equal to about 2 lumens, which measures the flow of light. Now this is important to me personally because in dorms a lot of people like candles for some reason, and as a result of that a lot of fire alarms have gone out throughout the year. So as an alternative to candles, to night lights, to lamps, the solar powered sun jar is just really useful because it eliminates the fire hazard, the wiring, as well as the electricity use, because it's just solar energy from the sun. It's also multi-purpose, which I like. It's also a light, but it also can hold any supplies or materials or food that you would like. For me, prior to this course, I always thought of solar power as a very esoteric, broad, far out there technology. I always imagined rows and rows of solar panels. I imagined solar cells, like, attached to really high-tech, modern, expensive homes. I just thought of it in general as just a very broad, expensive technology. But as you can see in this project, it's really widely available to anybody who makes use of the resources. In fact, at Walmart, the cheapest solar yard lights I found were 97 cents, so take advantage of what you have. Here I see I'm back. To finish things off, here's just different views of the solar-powered sun jar at night, during the daytime, and filled. Here is the view of the sun jar from outside. As you can see, it's quite bright. And then to finish things off, it's just a picture of what I'm using it for now. Keep in mind, in closing, that there's just a lot of opportunities, a lot of uses for solar energy. Keep an open mind, and thank you for your time.
You can stick any size jar you want, because this